We've seen this from experience, we've seen this from working with businesses, and this is what employers have actually told us time after time after time.
Yeah. I just noticed, I think we suffered a tech issue, but I do apologize. I think we lost connectivity at some point and just went back up. So, my apologies for that glitch. But I think if we can do a quick recap on this section where we
Sure.
talked about one, we talked about what skills are becoming harder and more critical to develop. And we said soft skills are context dependent. Yeah.
Yes.
They require the need for experience, reflection, feedback. We talked about how AI agents are becoming part and parcel of, our everyday lives. And the aspect of, we need to embrace and realize that human skills are here to stay, but AI is here to enable the business. So it's here to enable growth. It's here to enable productivity. We then talked about in an AI enabled world, which human skills are non-negotiable. And you touched about communication, ethical judgment, curiosity, resilience, and appreciating that even modern day applications are, you know, inputting or appreciating the use of applications. You gave the example of Uber that is actually using AI 18 AI tools, which to us, we actually do not see that. For us, it's just the user experience and the trip. But we also appreciated that all these aspects, human being will always be valued in terms of defining problems, priorities, navigating ambiguity, and influencing outcomes. So the human person is still very valuable and critical to the whole journey. We then asked about technical skills losing value or disappear or expiring faster. And the response was no, they're not losing value, but they are expiring faster because
Yes.
as it is, there's a lot of tech advancement. So we need to be at a position of learning, unlearning, relearning, upskilling, reskilling, whatever helps you have a deeper long term advantage. We then asked, how should professionals think about balancing depth, specialization, versus breadth, that's adaptability. And you give us a really good example about CFOs, yeah, a
Yes.
finance specialist. And the thing is, the specialism, that is the depth, yes, you have it, but the human skills are the ones that are going to enable you have that breadth, the adaptability, and also embracing aspects of even tech advancements. Those by themselves are going to give you rich adaptability. So yes, that is critical. And now, last but not least, we were talking about controversial question: what skills do they want versus what they actually reward? Do you want to take that up, Rehan?
Sure. So a lot of the times, then employers will say, they'll talk about, we want innovation, we want digital skills, we're looking for AI skills. But what employers get rewarded on, what talent gets rewarded on, are people who can solve real problems, real time, right? They can
Yeah.
communicate very clearly, both internal and external stakeholders, build trust, and work collaboratively. And as I had mentioned earlier, these are the skills that basically keep careers moving forward, and transforming lives and transforming organizations.
I couldn't agree more. Now, let us talk about the relevance question. Am I building the right skills? The question is, how can someone assess whether their current skill set will still be relevant in 5 to 10 years? You touched on that briefly on the previous question, but
Yes.
let's take this up again.
So again, as I mentioned, do your audit within for the next 1, 3, 5 years, and then when you're doing the audit, look at your current skills. Whether your current skills right now can actually, whatever your role is, by the way, whether it can actually help you think strategically, it can help you adapt to change, help you lead, or influence outcomes, right? Now, here's the deal that these capabilities, these skills don't age very quickly because no matter what your role is, or no matter where your industry is, they are transferable, right? Again, as I had mentioned earlier, there are online tools that actually help you with this, right? Look, in addition to this, if you're struggling with this, you can come and speak to us about this also. We've got trained career consultants who can actually help you with this.
Yep.
Get yourself also a mentor who has been in the industry for a while, who can actually help you assess whether or not your current skill set will be relevant in 5 to 10 years. Speak to experts out there who can help you with this because the time you invest in this now, because your future doesn't start in a year or two, your future literally starts in the time, in the do that you put in your present now.
I agree. Doing a skills audit is vital. What you have now, what you need to be more productive now and the future. And yes, as you mentioned, if you do not know how to go about it, someone should feel free to reach out to you or someone in your team to enable them go through that conversation and see what actually works best for them. What are common signs that your skills are becoming outdated, even if your job feels secure?
This is one of my favorite ones. 'Cause to be honest with you, Rosin, I went through this myself, right?
Okay.
Um, and this is what I tell everyone. If your daily work, your daily job, right, the routine, if you will, does not require learning new things, solving unfamiliar problems, or even collaborating across teams, even if you're in the back end, your skills may be may be aging quietly, and it's a danger sign. Comfort zone isn't always security, by the way. It is a quiet danger sign that hides stagnation. I'll give you an example, my own example actually. When I was working with Scan Group, after 17 years, I had a major shift, right, from what I was doing as a senior art director into a leadership role. Okay,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I had to learn a whole new set of skill sets,
Okay.
from managing myself to managing 25 to 30 different creators under me, right? And it required agility, required. It
Yeah.
required communication skills, leadership skills to be learned very quickly. Unlearn what I had, learn a new set of skills because that was the demand and expectation from my company at that time,
Yeah.
right? From the leadership at that time. So this is what you need. I feel all of us ongoingly as working professionals need to do as an audit every 6 months. Just audit, just do a list of skills you've got, audit and tell yourselves, and look at it very critically, brutally, honestly. Is this something that is stretching me? Is this something that I need to learn? If that isn't the case, look at it and then see where do you need to upskill or reskill.
I think you've mentioned something very critical. When you change roles, it came from managing self to the need of having skills for managing others. Now,
Yeah.
we will all not find ourselves in, leadership roles. However, there is the need to always look at what you currently have now and what that skill has morphed into present day and age, and what it's morphing into the future, regardless of the fact that if you will still be retaining your position or not. Because I think when we get a bit too comfortable,
Yes.
that complacency becomes our number one weakness within the workforce, so to speak. Okay. Is staying relevant about constantly learning more or learning differently?
I've always felt that it's more about learning differently, right? Because relevance doesn't come from increasing, from learning more, right?
Yeah.
It's how do you learn in different ways to essentially build your judgment, your reflection, your adaptability, and insight.
Yeah.
That's where we're learning differently from, and it all is within the context of unlearning what you've known and being bold and courageous to learn something new differently. And I know that uh, picking up new skills, going out there, making yourself vulnerable to learn new things so that your career can transform is not always is almost always scary.
And I think that's where now we need to bring in the aspect of self awareness in terms of, as you learn, as you learn, you know, you need to be the level of self awareness, so you need to be vulnerable with yourself and identify what is that critical thing you need to have in you or you need to do to advance from this level to the next level.
I feel that it's quite important actually to do that, to have self-awareness in being able to identify future skills gap. And one of the key things, Rosen, is over here that I feel that we as professionals miss out is that you don't have to be alone in this. Always take feedback from your colleagues. They're the ones who are working with you. They're the ones who know, who can actually see where the gap is in you. More often than not, we don't see this in ourselves. Our ego may come over there as a blocker, as a filter,
Yeah.
but people out there who work with you, your clients, your colleagues, your HOD, can give you very very honest feedback on how to help you with your self awareness in being able to identify future skill gaps. Right. Again, as I mentioned, there are online tools. You can speak to experts to actually help you with this.
Okay. Now, if we can go to practical future proofing.
Right.
If someone feels overwhelmed by the pace of change, where should they realistically start? And I think a lot of us can see that every single day things are changing.
Yes.
So how do we handle that realistically?
I understand where you're coming from, and I feel with the audience out there, even myself currently in my role that I have, there is so much that I have to learn, right? Um, and I'll give you my own example. I want to be able to do business development better. I want to be able to communicate more effectively, right? Lead more effectively. There's a whole lot that I want to do, and it becomes very overwhelming, right? I want to learn AI more effectively. Now, what I always advise people: take a step back, right? Take a step back. Start with one capability that will basically improve on how you work right now, today. Okay? For example, structured problem solving, or real time feedback skills, or even communication. one small continuous improvement over time will actually compound and make a huge difference. I usually use the Eisenhower matrix, right, to basically see what are the skills, what's my wish list in all of this, okay? And then I look at what is that one skill, max two, that will make a difference to my career within the 3 to 1 year segment that I'm looking for my own career, right? And that basically helps in decluttering and making things very easy and remove the overwhelm. Because the way the world is changing right now, the pace is extremely fast, right? And you need to take a step back and look at it realistically. And the Eisenhower matrix actually helps you to understand what is that one skill that will make a difference to your life the next 6 months to 12 months.
So, for anyone listening to you, it's pretty much yes, there may be a couple of skills that you need to work on, but take it one skill at a time.
Yeah.
You will feel less overwhelmed and you will probably embrace that learning curve without and even having the practical aspect of putting it into practice. And like if you're doing them all at once, I'm not saying doing them all at once it's bad, but not everyone can handle all at once. So go at a comfortable pace that will allow you learn and apply, and then take these others as you go.
If I may also put another context over here, we're all working professionals. We have 9 to 5s. We have families.
Yeah.
We've got their responsibilities, and then we have to plug in our learning and development that will make a difference to our careers,
Yeah.
right? So don't make a wish list. Pick one or two small steps, small improvements compound over time, and you will be surprised.
True.
Yeah.
What the example you just gave, it's actually very practical within our work environment. When a new training is put into place, and oftentimes people will say, "I'm too busy. I don't have the time." But if we all carry that attitude and not appreciate, for example, why that training is critical for you, then we lose the value of the training to begin with. Okay. How can professionals future proof themselves without burning out or chasing every new course?
I guess this pretty much ties into the first
Previous.
question.
Yes.
Be intentional. Literally, just be intentional. Focus on the skills that will enhance your your velocity of learning. Look at those key skills that basically will get you promoted, will move your career to the next level, will get you that job you've dreamed of always. Communication, critical thinking, resilience. Okay?
Yeah.
These are the key skills that will get you up there, get you noticed by the key stakeholders in your organization, and move your career to where you want it really to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, someone will say, it's one thing identifying the skills. I've done an audit. I need to work on X, Y, Z. But upskilling or reskilling is demanding of financial obligation. It can be a financial heavy affair. So someone will ask you, how can people build future skills within their current roles, even in tight budgets?
So money is always a conversation that we have, right, as working
Yeah.
professionals, because we have so many responsibilities. We have our families, we have we have got a whole lot of responsibilities that come with being an adult. And this is the question that I ask everyone: what is your priority? How important is your future to you? Investing in your in your future is investing in your learning and development. What is your career and your life worth to you by re-upskilling, by upskilling? Okay? That's the question that I ask everybody. Budgets are tight, I get that, right? Another way to essentially work with this is if you look at there's several ways of doing this. You can volunteer for cross-functional projects. You can coach or mentor colleagues. What you know, if you what you learn, sorry, if you teach, you can actually gain more knowledge through there. You can practice new ways of working. You can embed the learning you've done within your work environment, which will actually get you even noticed more, right? Think about it from this perspective. When budgets are tight, future skills can be built inside your current work, inside your current role, not outside of it, right? When you volunteer for cross-functional projects, working with people from other teams builds adaptability, communication, problem-solving skills that every future skill role needs. And of course, it'll get you noticed, right? Secondly, get a coach, get a mentor, and mentor or coach your colleagues, right? Teaching essentially strengthens your leadership skills, which you want to learn but may not at the moment because of budget, may not be able to do it. Emotional intelligence, clarity of thinking, everything you'd be able to learn when you are coaching or mentoring your colleagues within your work environment. Thirdly, practice practice new ways of working, use digital skills, learn how to use AI skills, use them within your work environment. Experiment with better time management. Improve how you would communicate with your internal, external stakeholders, right? These small changes over time, they compound, okay? And again, future skills aren't just built by budgets alone, they're built by intention and they're built by action.
You have actually said quite a number of very strong points. For example, the beauty of cross functional collaboration. If you're in a project team, you actually get to learn not only from your specialty, but also from other functions. And I think this helps with what we were talking about earlier, the breadth, the adaptability, your adaptability.
Yes.
And it actually helps you become like an all rounded individual where if other people have worked with you previously, they will not hesitate to, want to be in the same project team with you. If you're working with your colleagues, if you're mentoring, if you're sharing your insights, you will also get a reverse mentorship or a reverse learning from others. So it's being open minded, having that, you know, this hunger to be a lifelong student, taking every opportunity as an opportunity to learn. But also, for example, I've seen lately on LinkedIn, a lot of Ivy League institutions are offering free resources. So look out for those free resources that you can actually learn
Yes.
a skill or two. As we close out this section, what is the one skill, if you were asked, Rehan, what is the one skill you would recommend to be very, very valuable if you're looking at, now and 2030?
You've hit this is my favorite, by the way, and I love talking about this.
Yeah.
It's communication. Communication in a work environment, and especially the ability to explain complex ideas simply.
Yeah.
It is timeless and it is universally applicable any role, any industry. So let me say a little bit more about it. Whether you're chasing a promotion, whether you're preparing for a big presentation, you want to speak to a client, whether you're back end, whether you're front end, right? How you communicate in a professional environment changes everything, because what you're doing is that you are at the point of communication, you are influencing an outcome positively, not only for yourself but for your business, for your organization, right? And And a huge part of that is charisma. Whether you're an introvert, whether you're an extrovert, charisma isn't something that you're born with, it is a skill. And it is a major component of communication. And like any other skill, communication can be learned. And that's one thing, one skill that I advise everybody that they should start learning this year. And it will pay off in another 4 years, if not sooner.
And considering communication is the one skill that we utilize every single day, be it verbally or written, all these are forms of communication. We just need to master good communication skills, how to read the
Yes.
room, how to read
Yes.
tensions, everything about verbal and nonverbal communication. That's what we need to master. And yes, it can open a lot of doors, and it also promotes world peace,
Yes, it
so,
does. Yes, it
so to
does.
speak. Okay, now let's jump into leaders and organizations. What responsibility do organizations have in helping employees stay future ready?
I feel that leaders, right, especially not only not only HR or L&D leaders, I feel that the business leaders must treat learning as a strategic capability building, right? Not just a transactional or a tick box exercise. It is, and let me say a little bit more about that. By strategic capability building, I mean that it is something that will make an impact to your business goals, right? To your bottom line. Organizations must embed opportunities for growth through learning and development into actual work, not just an isolated workshop we need for the sales department, for example. Okay?
Yeah.
And again, I come back and I put a reference to the 2026 sentiment survey, where leaders have to assess their talent, their people on capability outcomes, adaptability, and impact, not just task completion.
And I think then that calls for, initially we were talking about a skills audit as an individual. I think this calls for leadership and organizations to do a skills audit for what their business demands, what their business has, and it should not be isolated or siloed. It should not be viewed sales, finance, IT. It should be reviewed. What are the skills that are going to help us, thrive in the future? And we look at those skills across board
Yes.
so that it doesn't seem like only certain functions are invested in, because it's all hands on deck. So as an organization, I think the one challenge we can put out there is the need to review a skills audit across board, and not just function to function, and realize what is it we have now, what is it that we need. And yes, there will be investments. We don't want you to break the bank. How can you actually get the skills done or the skills trained up without breaking the bank?
I
Okay.
think Rosalind, one of the key things. Sorry, one of the key things that a lot of businesses they look at, right? And especially HR and of course L&D teams, they ask the question is what do we do next, especially in 2026, right? What do we do next? Do we do we create L&D programs? Do we focus on performance? Do we focus on performance and closing the skills gap, right? And it's an exercise that business need to do, and rightly what you've just mentioned. When leaders rethink about performance potential, career paths in a very skills-based world, I think that's what very key. How do we help HR? How do we help L&D to basically navigate the whole skills gap, and how do we look at capability and outcome?
You put it so well, and if I can just add slightly to it, the need to differentiate between the technical skills and, for lack of a better word, the soft skills that, as we can clearly see, those are the driving force of, regardless of the technical bit of things, the soft skills are really, really critical. So it's looking at those and seeing, okay, this is not just a HR affair, this is an everybody affair.
Yes, yes.
And that will bring us to the next question in terms of risk. Yeah. What risks do organizations face if they don't intentionally invest in skills development now?
One of the biggest risks over there is disengagement by staff, right? Number one, and it's an entire knock-on effect if you think about it. Um, the the staff will risk stagnation, disengagement, which has a direct impact on the output, right? Because that's what business leaders are. End of the day, they're looking at the bottom line, the output, the bottom line, right? The ability to adapt. And what happens over there, straight up, is that they start losing their talent to competitors, retention, right? And we know as HR and L&D professionals that getting in new talent is more expensive than actually investing in capacity and capability. One of the key things from Aspitman Training Kenya, when we have spoken to business leaders, to our clients across the past 3 to 4 years, is that the need for the businesses has always been this. Upskilling and reskilling remains one of the key needs and people challenges that they face. Not only that, what they've also said is that personalization, right, is one of the key things. Personalization in skills development, and that's become more and more relevant in the past 2 years because of AI. All right.
Yeah.
Another thing that the businesses have said to us is that skills-based talent management is very important, and this basically has reinforced into organizations that organizations are now caring less about roles and more about capabilities. And how do they address the skills gaps to with L&D to make sure that the capabilities are actually on point, which make a very positive impact to their bottom line.
Couldn't agree more. And especially when you talked about the training is specialized, so to speak. So it's not just off the shelf. It's actually relevant to the role at hand, relevant to the people that are getting the training, and relevant to the organization at hand. Now, as we close up this section, how can leaders encourage continuous learning without turning it into pressure? I think a lot of L&D specialists can attest. Um, Sorry, welcome back.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're talking about encouraging continuous learning.
Yes.
A lot of L&D, or even my fellow HR colleagues, can attest that sometimes getting people to embrace learning or to even complete a course can be a really tough task. So, how can we embrace a learning culture? The people embrace continuous learning, that it's not a punishment, it's you're investing in yourself now and for the future.
So this is from what I've seen from experience, right, with businesses, with organizations. If you go ahead as an organization and tell your staff, we have, or even, well, let me use an example. I won't name names. Um, we have Excel training for you. You need to do this. Okay, as compared to finding out from your staff what are the skills gap that you find within your role that will actually help you to become better at what you do, will help you get the promotion that you're looking for. Because what this signals to your team, to your talent, is that my organization is looking out for me. They're listening to what I am having as a problem. And what that does is that builds engagement from your staff and builds and can help you build a learning and development program that they want to be engaged with and will give you a high return on investment. And that's the key thing. With your staff engaged on what they need, as opposed to them being told that this is what you have to do, makes a world of difference. And especially when you're looking as a HR or an L&D professional from a return on investment.
And I think no, you've actually struck the nail in the head. I think a lot of times it's prescribed. People don't own it from the get-go.
Yes.
Unlike when you
Yes.
have conversations of this is how we are performing, and the reason why we are having gaps in XYZ is because we are lacking in the following skills.
I
This is
think
how we can go about it. Yeah.
I think one of the things that we always do, especially if we're training Kenya, right, is that when we're working with businesses, with organizations, what we do is we work with them and their staff, right? We work with them to do what we do is that we link learning to real business goals, to real outcomes and real impact that they're looking for, not just textbox, not just like ticking a
Tick
checkbox
box. Yeah.
that that HR may say that we need to do because the MD has asked us to. No, no, no. What we'll do, and we found real success for businesses, is that we'll work with the HR, with the L&D. We'll identify what are their problems, right? We'll work with them to do a competency mapping. We'll work with them to do the skills gap analysis, right? Based on this, we'll develop a training program. When businesses actually do this, they'll see a higher engagement on the training that they want, a bigger difference that it makes to their bottom line. And it's all about the impact that that training makes to their business. And businesses are always run by people, end of the day.
True. Very, very true. And the truth of the matter is, even with the best effort, we never lack an individual to who will give you a tough time completing the
Oh, yeah.
course. But
Oh, yeah.
the important thing is the involvement. And as you
Yes.
put it earlier, that critical skill, communication,
Yes.
involving people when these discussions are being held and showing value or the intention of what is the goal, what are we trying to achieve. I think in most often than not, people are less hesitant to take up new tasks or training when they are informed, unlike when it's just, prescribe and say, hey, Rosalind, you got to do this, and you really don't see the value of it.
Because Rosin, remember that you're already doing your 9 to 5, and then you're
Yes.
asking me to do more stuff. So you need to get your staff engaged from the word go. Remember, they are one of your key stakeholders in this process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Very true. Now, as we come to the tail end of this conversation, if you could future proof just one skill, which should it be and why?
Um, so I have an interesting proposition for you. I know we come to the end.
Yeah.
Would so a lot of people would say communication. If you remember the matrix I'd shared earlier, right? A
Yes.
lot of people would say communication, big data, cybersecurity. This is the age of AI. I need to learn AI. But and truth be told, if you want to future-proof yourself, you want to transform your career, change your life, the one skill that you really, really need to learn is to learn how to learn, to be very honest with you. right? That's it. That's it. Because everything will basically flow from there.
Yeah.
Learning how to learn and making the time for it. 15 minutes, 30 minutes. One of the new buzzwords these days in L&D is micro learning, right? All you need is 30 minutes, 15 minutes. But the context behind it, the skill behind it, the skill of learning how to learn is the one skill that will move you ahead and future proof you.
What I love about that statement is we're not just talking about what the future holds, it's something that you own it yourself, it's something that you control. And therefore, having a learning mindset, embracing the beauty of learning, will definitely open a lot of doors for you. So, we must, if we want to thrive in the future, we must embrace learning. And yes, as you talk about micro learning, you really don't need to spare hours and hours of learning. If you can, well and good. But the reality is that sometimes even doing, say, your college degree or your master's degree, it's so demanding, even looking for that time to do it. So spare minutes here and there and ensure that you learn something as as you go. Yeah. Final question would be, how can people stay hopeful and curious, not fearful about the future of work?
Well, no one's seeing the future, Rosalind, to be very honest with you, right? And I can understand the fear of unknown is always scary, right? But then this is what I say. Change creates opportunity, right? And every opportunity opens space for you to step forward, to learn, and to lead and to shine. And that is what really excites me day in day out. That's what actually gets me up and gets to work, right? The future of work isn't scary, it is bright, to be very honest with you. There is a lot that you've actually mentioned out there, even when you looked at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Reskilling, upskilling is an opportunity to become better than what we are now.
Yeah.
And that should excite everybody and make everybody stay hopeful and curious.
Perfect. It's I can't add more to what you've already shared. So what I'm going to do as I'm going to share the matrix we had at the very start, and if you can give some final thoughts on what this matrix is about and what we need to embrace, because we are talking about micro learning, we are talking about, if I can scroll down, there's this section that has out of focus skills. A lot of us come into play that
Yes.
it's neither here nor there. Yeah. Bottom right, yes, some skills are steady, but it's not going to increase really in terms of demand. Get to the top left, where we still have a bit of the tech side of things, design and user experience, environmental stewardship, networks and cybersecurity. But then when you come to the top right, that's where a lot of, human skills are. And as we were talking about this earlier, less to do with tech, more to do with human skills. So, thoughts on this?
If you look at this, right, with AI coming in, a lot of those skills are being, from a perspective of work being done quickly, being done accurately, are being taken away, right? And I'll refer back to what you had mentioned, is that 40% of current skills that we have right now, will change within the next decade, right? And
Yeah.
then 59 out of 100 people will need reskilling or upskilling. However, if you remember what I had mentioned to you earlier, curiosity, lifelong learning, talent management, creative thinking, all the human centric skills that AI cannot take away, that skills that will get you noticed, will are the ones that will actually make you visible and move your career to the next level. And remember one thing, that the future is not something that happens to us. It starts in the present now, and we actually grow into it. The skills that, if and also just to expand further into it, the skills that will set you apart 4 years from now in 2030 aren't the newest software. They are these human capabilities that will help you think clearly, adapt boldly, connect deeply to each other, and deliver meaningful impact to your organizations, to your businesses. At the same time, organizations and businesses that win, that succeed, that grow, right, will be the ones that actually stop treating skills as checkboxes and start treating them as strategic capabilities that are woven into their real day-to-day work, making a difference to their bottom line. So I'm going to ask you this. Ask yourself every day, am I becoming more adaptable? Am I becoming more curious? Am I becoming more purposeful? And for all of us who answer that question to yes, you will not only survive the future of work, you will be the ones who will be the leaders who actually shape it.
Perfectly said. I will not add to that. Now, coming to the tail end of this session, while you, as a representative of Pitman Training Kenya, what would you tell someone who is maybe fresh out of high school, is yet to decide what they want to do, or you know they are not yet ready to go into back to a lot of deep learning, but they can pick up a course or two? What would be your recommendation, and what does Pitman Training Kenya have to offer to such people out here? Not only fresh out of college or high school, but also someone maybe in the workplace environment that wants to upskill. What do you have to offer?
Well, whether you're fresh of university looking to get into the workplace, right? And you're not sure what are the skill sets, the soft skills that, or the technical skills that the employers are looking for, what should you get to get you basically ahead of the pack? Number one. Number two, if you are a working professional, second job or your third job, right? And you're looking at the current market and you feel stuck, you feel stagnant, come speak to us. We've got expert career and course consultants who who you will speak to, who will listen to you, right, and give you guidance on what are the skill sets that you need, that Pitman Training can help you with to actually get your career to that next level. Whether you're looking for a new job, whether you're looking to move laterally or looking for that promotion, right? We can help you with that as Pitman Training. If you're a business, for example, you're an organization, and you're now looking to see what can we do with the skills gap analysis we have, how can we help our organizations, our teams get to that next level, how we want the best return on investment, come and speak to us.
Thank you so much for that, Rehan. Tonight, the topic is the skills of tomorrow, what will set you apart in 2030. It's been a very interesting, deep conversation. And some of my takeaways are: we need to embrace lifelong learning. We need to embrace skill audits, not only at an individual level, but also at an organizational level. What does that translate into now, and what does that translate to in the future? We've also learned that it doesn't have to be finance intensive. You can still learn a lot of skills at the organizations you're at, in the position that you're at. You just need to look at the environment around you. Are there projects that you can volunteer or participate in? Are there cross-functional opportunities for you to participate in? Sometimes the best learning sometimes happens to be peer-to-peer learning. So what does that look like for you? AI is only going to get more and more advanced. The question is, how ready will you be, or are you, to for the things that AI is going to automate? What are you doing about the skills that AI is yet to automate? What is it that you can do that will actually keep you relevant, not only now, but also in the future? Another critical thing that Rehan mentioned is comfort zones are not good for you. And yes, change is not the most interesting thing, but it's the only constant. So, would you rather change and survive, or would you prefer comfort zone and become irrelevant? So, it's up to you to choose. And again, learning how to learn is the one skill that you have to develop. And we're not saying that you have to dedicate hours learning. If you can, well and good. But in a modern day and age, with all the intentions and sacrifices you have to make, embrace micro learning. Rehan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
As we close out, what is your parting shot?
Um, for this is what I'll say. As a learning and development professional who is passionate about bringing Kenya's workforce, Kenya's organizations and businesses not only to regional level, but to global standards. I want to personally thank you for inviting me here, for giving me the opportunity to speaking to you and to the audience. Always, always be flexible. Always have the mindset of lifelong learning. Don't be afraid of the future of skills. It is a very exciting time to be in. The future starts now.
The future starts
Yeah.
now. I couldn't say it any better. Thank you all for joining us. I do apologize for the connectivity issue we experienced earlier, but I do hope you have enjoyed the session, that you have enjoyed, you know, what the future holds. Rehan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And to
Asante
everyone
sana.
that has joined us, Karibu Sana. And to everyone that has joined us tonight, I will see you on the next episode of Unplugged with Ross. Until then, have a good time and have a good
All
night.
right.
Thanks and
Good
goodbye.
night. See you. Bye.
Bye.